Okay. So when you guys had left for Breakwater, you had travelled the southern roads around the arid expanse, leaving the heat shade, braving a disturbing amount of fog around the rocky, craggy, barren landscapes, rolling well, led by Stoty to head towards the coastal city of Breakwater, a massive metropolis of trade and bountiful goods. A few miles short before you reached Breakwater, you saw the huge towering lighthouse, which the Coinhold of Mina is built beneath, that signaled your arrival towards the city limits. You then proceeded through the Laurel Highlands and into the Kraken Gateway, um, into the city itself. Um, your interrogator of Tyr, um, Inquisitor of Tyr, I should say, managed to go and head off and get some leads within Liberty Corner, a section of the city which seems unruly and a bit of a mess at the moment without any jurisdiction. It has always been a slightly law adjacent place, but things seem to have gotten worse in the past few days. Learning that there is destroyed veinstone statues of the 12 gods set up strategically around the district, around the small section of city, to prevent arcane casting, which all have seemingly been destroyed within the past week or so. Your allies, the rest of them, all headed towards the south house of Bouldray, the temple quarter, the great cathedral-like section of the city where people go to prayer and give their thanks to the gods. Quiet and pious in nature. You stayed there for a night before then heading to the Platinum Archive, where Thoric deposited his Shield of Tyranny to get it basically authenticated by the Church of Bahamut. Then, finally, heading to Liberty Corner to get some answers, you had heard about the Marshal and their presence within Breakwater. You approached a summoned divine temple at the edge of the wall on the kind of the coastline port area of Liberty Corner. This beautiful, one of a kind, crafted from arcane means, or divine arcane means. And you met the Marshal Jurisprudence, a man who called himself Jerome. There's a few other individuals there, a man named Osmundo, seemed to be kind of attending or assistant, but did not seem to wear similar plate mail and armor, or even have the kind of cultural significance or knowledge that Jerome would have, and two of his warriors, knights, holding great swords at their sides. And while you were discussing learning about your plans, your efforts of why you came to Breakwater, the Hydra Syndicate and their involvement with the Six-Fingered Man, the tracking down of Philippa and Camilla, Slate's wife and daughter, you were left to a divinely summoned feast of as much food as you can consume, and as much delights and souvenirs of treats as you could fill your bellies with. And because of that, you all kind of had this magical enhancement within your fortitude. And it kind of fade back into this long 40-foot long table, just end to end of just a banquet. You're all spread out amongst it, or as close as you desire. Around 20 minutes have passed since the spell was summoned. Jerome and Ismundo have left and depositing into another chamber, this large archway with silver inlaid bindings across a wooden door with the face of a lion on it. They're behind this door. And the group of you, the five of you, are still in amidst consuming your hero's feast. What would you like to do?
Well, it's impolite for me to talk with my mouth full, so. Anyone else?
I don't know. Just eat, eat and be merry. Do we get time to do that?
Hmm?
It's probably the finest meal
I think
a lot of you have had.
we had. I mean, I feel like the conversation was essentially over.
Yeah, sorry. Was Jerome and his companion still in the room?
They left to go and discuss something else, and I left you guys to the feast. It doesn't seem like you've been dismissed as of yet, but he said to basically excuse him for a time. But it's just you and these two armored, full plate, well made, great sword wielding knights watching guard over the 5 of you.
I might eat for a little bit, then take in the room, try to like look around at the finishing and everything like that. See what
Make a
how it's
perception check.
designed. Okay.
17. Excellent. There are a great many religious iconography artifacts around. You see symbols of the scales of tears. You see artistic paintings of the marriage ceremony between Tyr and Nemela. You can see various deposits of small books and holdings and scroll paper and prayer parchment around adorning the corners of the room. You do see as well, there seems to be like a small altar of a handful of items in the corner away from the dinner table, which doesn't seem to be hidden of anything. It's like a small alcove about 8 feet in width, and it seems to have a couple miscellaneous items there, and like a small prayer stool where you like rest your knees into.
Yeah, I'd like to go check that out. Like, look at what the items are on it and stuff like that. Just have a little nosy.
Mm-hmm. Sure. You head over there, and you do see a great many artifacts linked to Church of Tyr as well as other gods. You do see like a set of thanks to all the other 11 gods here, just small little talismans of them. But there's a couple of the strange items there. There are a few, I guess you would class them as pieces of scroll where there are signatures on it of names in a language you don't understand, but you get the sense that they seem to be like actual literal signatures on a piece of paper. And there is a script there at the top within Southern Immune, and it says that you can ledge above the signatures is so that I may never forget them.
Would I be able to have look at the two knights as Torkel was getting up off his chair and approaching other areas of the room, just to see their behavior?
You can make a perception check or an insight check.
Yeah, I'll do insight. I want to kind of read them more so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. With 19, they are on guard, and they're very, very well relaxed on guard. But this is a presence of someone on guard that is very experienced. Their mannerisms, the way they hold themselves, their body language is they are ready to swing those great swords at a moment's notice if they're needed.
They're experienced and professional, but they're relaxed all the same.
They're relaxed, but still ready.
Okay,
If needs
I
be.
think that's good. Okay, cool.
Okay. Another thing you do find there, Torkel, is there's a strange bleached skull resting on a piece of the alcove, which is vaguely humanoid. Make a history check for me, please, or an arcana check.
We will do history. 12.
Okay, you do recognize the skull because the way that you recognize it is within a literal history textbook of many races, of races and entities warned to be dangerous within the many worlds and current world that you exist in within the material plane. This soft, polished ivory skull, which has these two bead-like receptacles for eyes and this long, thin, blackish beak at the end where a mouth would be, you recognize to be a flayed and clean skull of an illithid.
Ooh.
So the signatures that are on the piece of paper, I can't understand them because I don't know the language, but am I able to hazard a guess at what the language is? even though I cannot read it.
Do you proficient in history? Are you proficient in history?
I'm proficient in history, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're an Erith. You're within the Charthorn Academy. You recognize it to be one of the dialects to the Easterlands from you, within the culture of Valetti, a coastal city, a good few 100 miles, close to 1,000 miles away to the east of you. And you recognize the telltale signs of this. It's not as fine or as deep a meaning of your languages are, your three dialects. It's more basic than that. It's more new than that. It's very long. There's a lot more syllables in it. But with a 15, you would be able to sound it out. Sorry, with a +5, you'd be able to sound it out if you wanted to. If you wanted to attempt it, you could either make a general intelligence check, so just click intelligence, if you want to do so.
Okay, I'll do my intelligence check.
Mm-hmm. 19. So the rest of you watch as Torkel heads over and studies this small alcove for a period of a few minutes. Then he starts to speak vocally, and the first word that he reads is Keridin, and then Kudun, Korgak, Crom, Cassia, Jaeger, and that's all he reads so far. And they seem to have been written in a language of these individuals have made the actual signature themselves. It's not just one hand that has copied it from the top. It's all various different signatures.
Torko will continue his. He will continue looking at the altar and then probably just pad around the room about checking out if there's any mana pieces, would the stonework and things like that. Just being a little nerd.
Yeah, I mean it's you would imagine a temple like this would take maybe a decade to build and an entire staff to maintain. But bar the nights, you don't see anyone else cleaning or sweeping. But where you walk, you trailed in some dirt when you guys headed from the very corner, and that has all just disappeared. It's like the place is allergic to being dirty. It just doesn't want. It just stays clean.
God, I fucking
and
wish my
your table
place was like
scraps.
that.
Once you finish a plate and you set it to one side, the plate after you leaves your eye line for a few moments, it just disappears and it's just restocked. An entire more chicken leg is just on it again.
Okay.
Hendrik, was there anything you wanted to look out for?
Nothing comes to mind, no.
Okay. After a few more moments, the door with the lion's head opens up, and you see Jerome walking in. He's got his helmet still off. His armor is still in play. It's still fully covering his form and his mundo. Come out. They look a bit more focused this time when they walk towards the table. Look a bit more composed, especially Osmundo, from his joviality. And Jerome walks up to the table, and just declares more than asks, enjoying the food.
Oh yeah, yep, fantastic.
It is some of the best food I have ever eaten.
Good. It is a enchanting spell which does cost something to cast, but I'm happy that it has brightened the spirits and minds and bodies of the five of you. May we resume our discussion of the Hydra and Liberty Corner at large?
Nod in motion for them to sit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he takes a chair, and Zmundo takes a chair as well, and he doesn't put a plate before him. He just stands there and does that kind of crossed fingers. Just puts his elbows on the table and just to look over the five of you, studying you guys, and reading Jerome. Drum sits down. The massive chair which he has to sit in is made out of steel and iron that supports his weight. No natural wood can contain the weight of a man like this. And he looks towards Hendrik and the group of you. Are you the leader of this coalition of denizens?
Who's he addressing?
Hendrik.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you repeat that?
Are you the leader of this coalition?
That's a very strong word. Sure. For today, I suppose. We don't really have a leader, do we?
Nope.
Leadership is a hard mantle and responsibility to fill. But if you're decentralized, it makes it easier to delineate information at once, I suppose. We discussed that the Hydra has operations based underneath the Honorable Repose Tavern bedding area and gambling house.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
meal will suffice in bolstering some of your abilities for a time and keep you alive. Are you agreeable to launching either investigation or efforts into uncovering and discovery and eventual recovery of the Eye of Tyr? That's to everyone.
No, it's not
Oh, yeah?
why we came here. But I'll be honest, it's sounds like too powerful thing to be in the hands of evil people.
It needs to be recovered.
I agree.
He nods. I wish I could do more to assist you, but I fear that me leaving the temple would alarm the bearer of the eye to know that something is up. It is best that we stay hidden for the moment. Do you have a plan of infiltration or assault?
My idea was to kidnap one of the people for more information. Salt a compound is outside of my area of expertise, but I'm sure we together can come up with something that is functional.
He gestured
I
towards
probably wouldn't
Osmundo.
attack from the top. I'd probably go underneath. I'm sure there's other ways into the underground.
He gestured towards Osmundo, who then coughs for a second and goes to speak. I have the ability to disguise the five of you to look not like yourselves, but still possessing your armaments and weaponry as it does remain on your persons, if you wanted to go that route. But the spell does last a long time. It is not a short, simple boon like when it is only cast on a single person. And I will stay out of the fray so that it cannot be dispelled so easily. I don't know what magical defenses they might have, but with the Vainstone being destroyed within the city, within Liberty Corner, it may allow more means of arcane magic being exploitable than usual.
Even with that benefit, I'm uneasy about enacting violence against an unknown number of people in a environment that probably has no escape route. We'd have to think about it a little bit.
He nods. He sits back in his chair. Room just seems to be studying you guys. And all that assault might have been too forward to suggest. I wasn't sure of your skill sets. You're clearly heavily armored combatants. Maybe I underestimated you. Maybe subterfuge and cloak and dagger skills might be more within your wider group's desires.
It's going to come down to violence, but to utilize every advantage we have before that point.
Surprise
the violence
violence
is more
is always
effective.
better. Yes.
Yeah, so my skills are not in alignment with this necessarily, but my Patriots have found them or have proven themselves to be very what's the word?
Good.
Jerome looks at Orley.
Uh,
Yourself, you strike me as a skirmisher within the shadows. Do you have any input towards the wider group of how to proceed?
We could probably utilize all of our strengths in one combined effort if we were to plan accordingly. I could go about the route of cloak and dagger at scout, and maybe we could formulate a plan for a surprise attack. But I'm by no means any expert. I come from small upbringing, nothing too important. So
No person is unimportant in this life or in this realm. We are all equal in the gods' eyes and that of the law. Do you need more time to consider amongst yourselves? Myself and Osmundo could leave you to your ideas, if that is easier with the presence of ourselves here. You could return to us.
I think that would be best.
Yes.
Very well. Well, I don't think you leaving out the front door would be advisable. There are many eyes on this temple which I summoned. Is there a specific place where it would be easier for you to be relocated to?
Yeah, we could go back to we.
The tavern we stayed
we
at?
did in the front door. I feel like not walking back out would be more suspicious.
Well, if we don't walk
Than
back
just
out, we're
leaving.
indefinitely staying in here, and there's nothing. I don't know.
That's
If the individual is still watching the
Yeah,
temple that would have saw you approach and enter, well, why tell them that you have left?
I agree. Most of us are staying in the Temple of Baldray. Perhaps if that's easy to get relocated there via your methods, that might be ideal.
Looks towards Osmundo, who kind of sucks out his teeth. I don't think I've been there exactly, but I've been close to it. The Platinum Archive I have visited with you, Jerome, to investigate the robbery. I could drop you there if you needed to.
That sounds good. We've been there as well, haven't we?
Yeah, you have, as a
We
party.
visited briefly
Yeah.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish it to happen now, or any more scraps you wish to take with you? It will disappear once a few more moments pass, but you have the benefit of it.
In fact, actually, on the topic of planning ahead and utilizing all of our abilities, is there any form of city layout maps or blueprints of the district that maybe you yourselves might have access to, or could point us in the right direction to finalize plans, I suppose?
Jerome nods. Yes, there are interior maps of the Honourable Repose, but they are dated when the tavern it has been rebuilt since destruction 2 decades ago. I don't think that there has been newer surveys, but there might be something at the interior matters substratum. I'm not content. I'm not knowledgeable enough to have a guess.
How about the sewer systems? Oh, I'm just calling it sewer system cipher. I don't think it is sewers, right?
Yeah. There are sewer systems. There are definite sewers which flow, massively designed by the Church of Kenos, so that they don't flow into the bay and poison the local food supply.
It's a different thing that
sure.
I'm talking about. What
It
was
is
it called?
the mains of Vina.
Yeah.
The mains of Vina. The veins of Mina is a delicately patrolled and hard to access series, very well kept secret and under close guard by the clergy of the Two-Faced Lady. We suspected the same thing, that they did use the Mina veins to gain access to the Platinum Archive. But from what we found is they were very, very well thorough in their escape. They were even able to bring down a few vessels carrying angelic spirits. Durham nods from memory. Osmundo then speaks. There will be a sewer system connecting the tavern and other buildings around it. There has to be. For most of the two sewer systems actually go a few miles down the coastline, not directly deposited within the stone walls holdings, so that it may fester. Why? What is your reasoning for asking?
Scouting. If we've got a backdoor entrance via underground, that could benefit us.
Durham get the sense, you look at Durham and you get the sense that he's mulling a lot of different plans and theosophies and ideas. You don't need an insight check. You get the sense this guy doesn't hide what he's feeling, but he's very good at reading other people. He kind of has to be reminded for a second that he's in the room with you guys. You should have this. It is a small gift. Hold it. Choose on which to wear, but for the time being, it might influence decisions of approach. And he reaches onto his left gauntlet, which is these massive rings on it. And he takes off this small, simple silver banded ring with a small slither of amethyst in it, and hands it to, I think, the closest person, which would probably be Torkel, and hands it to Torkel. And it's like, this is slightly over the thickness of a dwarven finger, because he locks it on, and he hands it to you, and he says, this ring will protect the wearer best it can. You may have it during your deployment of infiltrating the Hydra. I do want it back when you return, though.
We appreciate this gift. Thank you very much.
What is it? +1, +2?
You could cast Identify if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have that?
You could ritually cast it. We could say you could ritually cast it.
Sure,
We
yeah,
just all
I've got
sit
some
here
extra.
awkwardly for 10 minutes. I love it.
Nah,
10 minutes, or we could just ask.
Jerome would know what it is. It is a ring of protection.
Yeah, nice.
What is that?
Feel
Is that
free to
+1, is it?
It's a +1 to armor class and saving throws, and it does require attunement though, so you would need to take a short rest to attune to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
You guys just let me know who among you would like that, and I will hand it over.
Yes.
Well, you or Thoric, right? Or Lernak.
Probably one of the two.
Let's stack AC and the three most AC characters.
Absolutely. Min-max. That's how we do it.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to
It's
it.
going to be way more
but
effective than
my
AC going from fucking 13 to 14.
I'll voice my I'll voice my interest in it. That's all I'll say.
All right, you can have
He'd make the same sound he makes when he sees fresh food.
You should be able to drag a ring of protection from the compendium, and just click it in there and make sure you attune to it. Okay. It's at this point, if you do want to take I know it's another hour to short rest. If you do want to take a short rest within the temple, that is fine.
A good idea, right, for us to take a. Well, wait. How long
no,
does
let's go back. Let's go back. I tell you, out of character, I really want to try and find Sophia.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if you want to get transported back to the Platinum Archive, what happens is Osmundo asks you to join him in this chamber, and as you stand up from the large table, and the last few moments of the spell of the Feast of Heroes dissipates, the scroll work and maps and globes and various accounts and parchments have to reappear on the table as Droom starts to look over them again. And he just looks over as you guys are leaving, following Osmundo. Best of luck. And he leads you into a about 30-foot spherical chamber with what can best be described as an arcane astronomer's like decor in two kind of rounded off walls of book casings against the walls with a series of small desks and alchemical like components within vials and glass and small Bunsen burners around. And you see laid out in the middle of the chamber is an etched in chalk made of diamond circle. He steps forward and kind of touches his bracers, and you see like a kind of pulse of electricity in the air, like this kind of static crawl up both of his bracers. So to rub his hands together, and you can like hear small rumblings of thunder. What would you guys like to do?
Yeah, I'm freaking the fuck out. Or at least never. I'm sorry. What's happening here?
He gestures. If you stand in the circle there, I'll transport you to the Platinum Archive.
This is safe. You've done this before. This is.
Yes, dozens of
You've
times.
done this before. This is safe.
I trust him. And Thoracle.
I trust him.
Thoracle
I passed my teleportation exam a decade ago.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
Right,
that's enough for me, I guess. If he's taking an exam, I mean, surely to God.
Why don't the five of you or the four of you all make an Arcana check, please?
I'm not the fan.
I don't know shit. I ain't rolling. I don't know shit about magic.
Ooh.
20.
Hello there.
General.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, 22.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna roll, and hopefully I get a 1. No, okay, no, it doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Thoric, you're more enchanted by the library around you to really take stock of what's happening. Torkel, Hendrik, and Orly, you recognize this intrinsically as arcane magic. He is not a divine caster, he's an arcane caster.
Blasphemy.
Hey, it's fine.
I do not.
Good defense.
Should we be doing this? It seems like it is a little illegal.
He stayed up in earshot of him.
Yeah.
Okay. He seems to keep propelling the spell and like kind of just crackling small little embers of light in this kind of sphere he's summoning within his hand. It's fine. My uncle gave me a pass for this, and it's over there on the table.
Okay, I'll go look at what's on the table.
You see in Celestial written a pass for arcanistry within the limits by sponsor of Droom, the Marshal of Jurisprudence, to a one Osmundo Arcus.
Okay. I will. Okay, yeah. That I suppose if it has been sectioned, then it should be fine. I want it on record that if I do not show up in the other place with all of my limbs, I will be coming to find you.
Have all of you travelled by magical means before? As he's doing this, the sphere's just growing larger and larger until it's like about a meter apart from both hands.
Yeah, no, I prefer my own 2 feet. Has anyone ever died from this?
Yes, many have in the accounts, but not through my hands, and I've teleported many times through this spell.
That's comforting.
It's amazing how far you can travel. We travelled many hundreds of miles to get to Breakwater from where we were previously.
Or he's not listening anymore. He's just closing his eyes and hoping for the best.
You ever saw someone like pour like a pancake mix into like a pan? He seems to do it with the sphere. He like pushes it down into the circle, and you see all of the chalk diamond dust seem to electrify and like have little spats and bursts of arcane energy and little miniature flicks of flashes.
That pancake mix was such a good descriptive visual representation. It really was, actually.
Yeah.
He stands back. Once you're ready, gentlemen, if you would stand in and around the circle, no hands or limbs outside of it, if for fear of losing them once the spell is cast.
Sorry, this just reminds me. Who here's played Half-Life 2 and the discussion about the cat and the teleporter?
I have no idea.
It's a superstition.
Okay.
Rocco goes into the circle and like makes himself like rigid, kind of like Neville Longbottom in the first Harry Potter movie. Full on, hands right against his side, like trying to get as aerodynamic as possible.
Okay, all right. With his left hand, he opens up like a palm, and you see a small reflected spherical circle in miniature on his open palm. As he lifts up his right palm, about a foot above his left, and goes, "Ready?"
No.
Yes.
Slams his right hand down, and it crushes the circle. And as that happens, all of you lose all sense of being, gravity, dimension, as your eyesight disappears. Your sense of touch, smell, beings are gone for what feels like moments and eons, and you just see a mass of colors and spiraling storms of purple and blue and red energy of lightning bolts and thunder clouds, and you can hear this cacophony of noise finally start to resume within your mind's eye, and then your ears start to become present, then your eyes, and you start to see your allies twisting in a vast circle of a light of a actual storm itself. And you're flying through the air, twisting amongst all of yourselves. Your belongings have to hold them close to you as you're just spinning through vast space, and bang! You hit the earth. You hit a stone cobble street in a small alleyway about 10 feet apart. You immediately waft in the sense of smell of the city around you, the salt sea air, as all of you are standing upright. And you are somewhere, we gather, close. You can see the tip of the pyramid of the Platinum Archive.
I think. Wait,
great.
hold on. I'm going to check. Going to check something.
Yeah, I want to check something as well.
Yeah, Taco hurls just like.
Yeah. Oh, come on! Why isn't it doing it?
Or sometimes it's a bit slow.
So Taco just throws up at the side, like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
That's me.
That's you. Damn it. Where's mine? It's
Yeah,
fine.
I just side
I
eye.
puke.
Look at Torkel.
Just
And wait for
con
Torkel
check,
to
isn't
stop
it?
throwing up.
You don't have to roll a Constitution check. You don't think?
I'm
No.
fine.
Yeah. For your first divine or arcane travel through a spell, there's like this acidic aftertaste in all of your gums, and you look at Torkel's eyes, and he's got this kind of almost rainbow-like liquid pouring out one of his left eye, like he's crying, like pure arcane energy. And you kind of flip it away.
Doors should not
When this
travel
said
by
his
magic.
eyes, I thought you were gonna be like. I thought you were gonna say like his left and right eye had like switched places or something.
No. You gather you're still maybe a couple hundred feet away from Platinum Archive. You did not arrive directly in front of it, but at least you didn't arrive in a wall or in a cellar or somewhere else.
Yeah, none of us are like stuck in the ground or anything like that.
None of
Nobody's
you
lost
are
like a pinky
phasing.
toe.
He rolled a 41 on the table of the teleportation, so he did not have a mishap.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose that we should probably head 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 to the our sleeping area or the Platinum Archive or discuss invasion or assault or whatever.
There's a great many small prayer houses and lodgings and open areas, small miniature gardens where people can like come and relax and talk amongst themselves, whether the clergymen or acolytes or just a small meetup. It's a working day, so this section of city, the temple district, is slightly quieter than usual, and because it's mid-morning, you get the sense that most people who are here are direct functionaries or close adjacent functionaries providing services to the church grounds. So these streets, which are usually like busy, are much more quieter at this time. So you could find a small, quiet seating area for study close to the Platinum Archive if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Okay.
Oh, Orly, didn't you want to try and find someone?
Yeah, I want to find Sophia. We lost visual of her since the tunnel, and I really do believe she could help us with all of this. To be honest, if we're gonna have to try and scout out the location before we make any further plans.
Does anyone have the sending spell at all?
Nope.
I've got a rat.
Okay. You've got a rat. That's very true. They played the city. And she disappeared away before you guys went to the Angels. Just as a note, I believe when you got the share of loot from her tables, from her chest, there were 3 potions of invisibility in there. Just so you're aware of that.
Oh yeah, put one in mine. Yeah. I tried it a while ago. I don't think it's on the. I couldn't drag it for some reason. I couldn't find it in the.
Oh, strange.
The compendium.
Right, strange.
Invis.
Oh, it's because it's in the DMG. That's why.
Okay.
I have 2 of the potions of invisibility.
Yeah, you took 2. I took 1.
Man. I need to go FA like 2 minutes. You guys keep going.
Okay.
Cool. I'm going to find a bench or something, Cypher, outside of the Temple of Baldray and take out my pipe and just wait and try keep an empty space on the bench. I will fight for that empty space, and I'm literally just going to sit there for however long it takes.
I just want to remind you, before you guys came in, there was no discussion of where to meet or what to do. She just slipped away.
I think we're confident that she'd find us.
Yeah.
We're not hard people to, locate.
Yeah.
No.
Why don't?
She knows. She knows that Orly follows Baldray.
And she knows Leonard does as well.
Yeah.
Let me just find something here. Find a character sheet. Okay. I'm going to roll in public for this. I'm going to say if she rolls above a 15 with a survival check, she might find you guys. She might appear. Nope.
That's a no.
That's a no. For the next hour, you wait, and nothing happens for Orly, waiting for a rendezvous.
And it's still mid-morning, right?
About now, it's literally coming into just the middle of the day, just past 12 o'clock.
I'm going to say if the rest of the party don't decide to do anything, I'm still going to stick with my original plan before I saw that roll. I'm going to stay out there for a few hours, so unless anybody else is going to decide on what to do, that's what I'll be doing.
Thoric and Torkel, what are the 2 of you wanting to do while Orly is waiting on his rendezvous of Sophia?
I think Torkel's still trying to compose himself from hurtling through
space and time.
Liminal space,
Yeah.
So he's like just focusing on breathing and being present and not in 2 different places.
Yeah.
Thoric is describing how fun that journey was and all the sensations he felt to Torkel.
Thoric, I usually enjoy your ramblings, but please, I would appreciate if you could just leave me on my own for the little bit.
Thoric takes a few steps away, but starts saying it louder so you can hear him from where he's standing.
Jesus. Oh, the divine.
It's like when you wake up with a hangover and the one person you're with is the morning person.
Yeah, no, sack that.
Orkel and Hendrik, and I presume Thoric as well. About 80, 100 feet away, you can hear a street preacher giving a sermon. You can see them kind of crooked around an alleyway. You can see an open area, a sitting area, maybe 4 or 5 people stopping, passing while they're carrying various packages, and like one pushing a wheelbarrow as he's giving a sermon. It's really quite animated. You can hear like little tidbits of, "This is why the world must be destroyed. It is an affront to the god Talos." And you hear him giving this loud, shouting sermon. And like there's kind of a crescendo and then a level off, and then a big, deplorative speech of divine right that no one, no place should be safe the wrath of Talos.
I don't know what is worse, listening to Thoric shouting about the transport or listening to that idiot talking about dismantling the wall. Oh, my head hurts. I think there's something still in my eye.
You twitch your eye, Torkel, and you see a small little piece of pixie dust come out, and then you feel that's the end of it. Like a grain of sand you finally got out between your eye. You are under the effect of the bless spell for the next day.
Oh, hell yeah! Or will you be fine by yourself? I may go and speak to this preacher and just remind him of all the good the wall does.
I think sitting here will allow my stomach to rearrange itself. So I'm good.
Okay. Then Taco goes off to like basically have a debate with this fucking madman.
Excellent. I love debates. I'm not going to debate you though because you're a fucking lawyer. So,
yeah, I don't think we need to run through the actual. But for the visual is just a little tiny dwarf shouting at this guy about how he's a moron.
I'll say this: you can have a debate to see if you can convince his watchers on, his audience, whether or not you're in the right or he is in the right, or convincing of arguments. You can either give me a religion check or a persuasion check.
Can I be there to as like a member of audience to support him?
Yeah. Oh, you literally have the sources. Like, if you read this book, you will find the evidence here.
Yeah, like I literally one of my items is a tome of history. So
you're a walking Harvard reference system.
Yeah, I have a book of history. So and also I am proficient in religion. So
sure, whatever you choose to roll, you have advantage then, Torkel.
I'm going to roll religion.
Mm-hmm.
For a 12 with advantage. Wait, did I get that blessed? No, that's not for ability checks.
You do. It is ability checks, I believe. Yeah, skill checks.
So 1d4.
1d4.
Hey.
60.
60. Oh, yeah. I'm going to roll for the priest opposing you.
He rolls a 1. It
was a 13. Oh. You're glad you got that bless. Okay. All right. Okay. So over the course of 10 minutes, he goes along with the argument of why does Breakwater get this solemn right to be defended against the sea waves? And you go back and forth. Well, no, there's a bunch of other cities that have volunteer clergy of Talos that actually stand in the face of the god's power. And there's a back and forth there again. And finally, the audience of around 4 or 5 people start to pay more attention to you and start to leave him. They get the dejected look on him and admits a debate defeat and stands off the raised plinth that he is on that has been set up clearly for various preachers within many churches.
Yeah,
and
like Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park.
Pretty much, yeah. and he looks at you just with this kind of scornful look, and then just walks off.
May the divines bless you.
May
Well.
the storms kiss your ass. And he walks away.
Your
Okay.
success shall be noted for the records.
Well, that helped clear my head.
All right. The four of you, Orly included. Leonok is tagging around all this. He's fine. What would you guys like to do now?
I'm still
we're
waiting.
still-
I'm still on the bench.
yeah.
so-
Okay.
She rolled and she couldn't find us, right?
Yeah, no, she's
Yeah.
not finding us.
She's
okay.
ruled. I won't
I'll,
tell you how long that rule stands for, but it's a period number. It's a number of hours.
What time is it? What time does it feel like it is?
Just coming midday, like 12:15, 12:30.
Okay.
Still
Our
got a
two
good
objectives.
number of hours left in the day.
I might go scout. I might ask the party if they would like to accompany me in scouting out the place that we are going to have the meeting at. It's still like 5 days away or something like that, right? It's still quite a bit away.
Do we have the location?
We have
The
a
street.
description of a location. We have the
Yeah, you
street
have
and like
the
a
location.
description. So I'm going to try and use my time to, as subtly as Torko can be, which isn't very subtle to be honest. He's
We can
going
go for
to, do a. Basically, he's going to case the joint, right? Like he's going to do an analysis of the way it is and the areas and everything.
I mean, your priest. Sorry, it's out of my mind at the moment. What's the name of your god again?
Kinos.
Kinos. A priest of Kinos and a member of the Church of Bahamut going around noting about buildings that may need to be renovated, or issues with
that's a good
certain
cover.
things. With me
Okay.
noting down everything.
Okay. All right.
Cypher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Is there any guard postings or patrols up on rooftops?
You would have definitely seen brass shield patrols in and around on the actual wall, the living wave wall. You would have seen smaller martial orders of many of the churches within the area patrolling. The brass shields don't tend to patrol this religious sector of the quarter very much, but we did see a lot of brass shields in and around Liberty Corner just before the threshold of entering into that district.
And what is the roof situation like and the closeness of buildings?
The roof situation within the Streets of Invocation is very much large, spread out, multi-succinct apartment complexes in and around great towering cathedrals and church grounds with private gardens. If you're looking for a more compact roofing system and built up roofs, the World Span Assembly and also the houses in and around Archgarten are much more built up and smaller spaced alleyways.
Okay. Are they scalable? Like what kind of degrees are the roofs at? Is it just 45 degrees, or are they steep inclined kind of roofs?
There is the design philosophy of Breakwater from what you get from the old city is very different to newer chunks of the city. The apartment complexes do have exterior ladders for in case of fires. Thank the Church of Kinos for that, for having that in mind for people to escape fire escapes. The buildings are. Have you ever seen a Cantillonian slate? I'll just send you a picture, like a Costa del Sol holiday home roofing situation.
Mm.
That,
Yeah, they're kind of spherical almost.
Yeah, like spherical and slat roofs. Why? I'm just gonna post this in. Hold on. Medieval Spanish home. Yeah, okay. Like stuff like this is what I'm thinking. D&D. Oh, so. But that like
Beautiful.
supersized.
Brilliant. Let's go. Yeah, so easily kind of
Traversable. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So here's my idea. I'll follow you guys, and then whenever we get to a point where we feel this could be it, let me know, and I'll try get a higher vantage point. I could help in
Right.
that sense.
That's a good idea. I think the aim or the objective of the outing just now is to obviously identify the building that's going to be in, and then take stock. So your aerial view will be important. Take stock of entrances onto the street, exits around about the building. Just try and get an idea of if we need to leave, where we could go, or if people are coming, where they would come from, sight lines, things like that, in case we want to have people posted up outside and stuff like that. So just a general overview of the area surrounding the building, because obviously we don't want to go into the building as of yet.
Sounds good.
Right. Okay. All right. So on the why don't you either give me an athletics check, please, for climbing, just general climbing ability.
This won't be good. Athletics,
fine.
only athletics?
Yeah, just in this instance, athletics, please.
Okay.
Get up. Okay.
And even reach the first hand.
Your party gets like a good couple 100 feet on you before you manage to get on the roof and climb, and it's this embarrassing climb. Like a woman sticks her head out of a balcony, like, "What are you doing? It is too early for surveying of the roofs. I am still sleeping."
Apologies, there's a leak. I'm here for a leak, and I just keep trying to.
Yeah.
Do we to throw you up there?
Sure.
That would have been probably better.
You do succeed on getting on the roofs, but you're taking a difficult path compared to the rest of the party.
That's fine, because I've got really good acrobatics, so I'm just going to try and sprint my way and run using my deathly agility.
All right, okay. Make an acrobatics check to catch up to them then.
Watch me fuck this one up now.
Falls to his death.
Hells yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Orly successfully very much keeps pace for you guys, and there are a handful of smaller private apartments on these 3rd, 4th, 5th in places levels where like there's like private little gardens and even like outdoor bathing areas of like heated hot water tubs where people are like taking the entire length and width of the city and having a private bath on top of their lovely 4-story apartment. Balcony.
God, these guys would be so easy to steal from. I'm not that kind of rogue, though.
But you do follow your companions. It is a little bit tricky crossing the main street between the Streets of Invocation and into the Worldspan Assembly. To describe the district which you're about to pass through, Torkel, Orly, and Hendrik, and everyone else, the Worldspan Assembly is the manufacturing, building, and invention sector of Breakwater. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of shops building furniture, nails. You see a handful of stores advertised. You see the Phoenix Armaments store. You see Ore Galore mentioned as well, and signs towards the actual proving house of Kinos, this regional area dedicated to Kinos, the actual church grounds. We do see a lot of signs and symbology of a creature. Is best I can describe it. This large unicorn beast, written in celestial runes around it, of Depida is mentioned a lot in various archways and buildings, which like opened in 1582 by the Depetas, patron Depeta, or blessed by Depeta in such and such a date, and things like that. And you can just hear the sound of hammers and clay being broken and various large wagons. And it's like a medieval version of walking through the gun-making streets of Birmingham. There's just so much activity and so much filtering noise going on. It's hard to get your bearings a lot. But for you, Torkel, this is especially exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pass through there and you leave the prime building area into the Everwork shipyards, where there's a series of, where you can see there are huge crane and pulley systems, very similar in design and scale to those that are operated at the Eland quarry, where they harvest the veinstone. But instead of them lifting up huge chunks of veinstone, they are lifting up entire schooners and fleets of ships and putting them in dry docks and resting on these massive support structures for barnacle shedding and reapplying wood and building entire raw ships from scratch. There are probably around a dozen or so entire galleons being built at any one time, and around 5 or 6 dry docks, and some that are actually wet docks where ships are being tested for buoyancy. There are a vast amount of warehousing and storage and building yards where raw timber is being brought in, and you can get the sense that this is the working man's quarter. There are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of workers on multi-layered scaffoldings in and around these great ships. The constant banging of tools and shouts of intensity labor, making people being focused on their works. You see a couple reprieves. Give me a survival check for me, please, Torkel. I'll say kind of advantage since you're being assisted by both Hendrik and Thoric in looking for all this.
Yep, no problem. Give me 2 seconds. Torkel's just kind of staring amazed at the ships. And but like a lot, kind of more so the machinery, like, and the logistical input that goes into it. A survival check with advantage. Okay.
These cranes are maneuvered by pulleys and cranes and are cogs and counterbalances of weight which lift entire ships on. The counterbalance of weights are just massive raw hunks of stone which are probably buried into the earth, like kind of almost like underground cable cart cables which feed into the earth that are on massive pulleys and systems to counteract the weight. With a 16, no way, 17, is that right? 17?
13 plus 4, 17.
17. With a 17, you maneuver yourselves around the Thunder Sage Tavern, which seems to be a kind of sprawling man, working person's tavern where there's various people there on break since it's midday, taking big flagons of ale, and the smell of food creeps around it. You're following the street best you can, following the designs of the letter, and you come across a kind of stowed away storage area which seems adjacent to one of the businesses or one of the building yards of smaller ships, more tugboats and small private lodgings, sailing ships almost. And you see, it takes some time. It takes around 20 minutes, and you eventually do see what seems to be a marked red ruddy door in the corner of one of the tower structures to one of these building yards. You don't see anyone at it, bar a few people working around in and around the tower structure, of maneuvering wood and fastening buckets of nails and cleaning their garments in a small trough from sweat.
Okay. Nobody looks unusual or odd. There's just normal people,
Make a
right?
perception check.
Can I also make a perception check for any
Sure.
kind of posts and sentries up on the rooftops around this area?
Definitely, yeah.
Just a straight check, yeah.
You can straight check, yeah.
Ugh.
9.
18.
Orly, I think you're actually having a hard time picking up what's a human being and what's a moving piece of machinery of these cranes. It's just such a big spread. Like, you've never seen anything like it. Never.
I'm
ever seen anything like it.
overstimulated.
Yeah. First you teleported, now you basically see the Industrial Revolution on a medieval scale. It's a lot. It's a lot for morning.
He just casually dropped that one.
For Torkel, with an 18, you gather best you can that not everyone here, not most of the people here and working are actually doing a job, but there seems to be a few people hanging around the door, most notably the ones in the trough, that seem to be just, of course, of around a few minutes, just walking around, surveying the area, seem to be hanging around there and just finding jobs to do which keep them within eye shot of that door.
Okay. And that's the door to a
Constantly looking
tavern.
over. It looks like being the door to a tower, which is adjacent to a builder's yard. It doesn't have any other. It doesn't have any other connecting structures. It seems like a single 20-foot by 30-foot tall tower with a single red ready door on it.
This might be clutching at straws, so just tell me if that's too fanciful. But when I was in the Platinum Archive, I did some research in relation to the Stormwall and its creation. Whilst perusing those books about the city, can I recall just now, anything that may have referenced this sort of tower in this area, or any, like, in case it's like a landmark or something that we may know about?
Make a history check, sure.
Okay.
12.
Right.
Yeah, you got bless. You got bless thanks 24 hours because your pixie dust in your eye. 15. Yes, you do recognize this tower because not so much what you read in the archive, but more just flicking back to a lesson, a guest speaker you had many decades ago within the capital. This was used as, this tower appears to be the marker of a shelter that would have been used by people during a Everstorm, but long repurposed. You gather that there's probably a lot of room in the actual tower itself for holding people in, which is probably why it's used for along a builder's yard area for storage. But there's also, in some places, an underground basement or not latrine, but an area underground as well to hold more people. The thickness of the stone, the kind of density of structure, and the robustness of it signals that this is what it is. This is an old, disused storm shelter that has been converted into whatever the building yard wants it to be.
And is this is the building described in our letter, or are we not there yet?
The door that you've seen seems to be what's been described, and it fits the description of the street and the markings on it.
Okay.
On the letter.
The individuals that I've clocked who are looking busy but really keeping an eye on that door. Between each of them, are there any similar shared mannerisms or items or looks, or like heritage or anything like that?
They're fit, they're athletic, they look at place at builder's yard, but you also wouldn't be surprised to find them within a drafted militia that needs a strong man.
Do they look armed?
Make another perception check for me, please.
Okay.
Not that you can tell. I mean, they have tools on them. Some of them are like currently like fletching some wood to thin it down to fit a certain gradient of thinness on one end and thickness on the other. But that's as much as you can see.
Okay. I'll note that to Thoric and Hendrik. How many individuals? 2 or 3?
2, just 2.
2. I'll say I don't know if you've noticed, but there are 2 individuals in this area who look busy, but they're probably some kind of guard or lookout, and they are paying a lot of attention to the door that we'll have to rendezvous at in a couple of days. I'm going to try to memorize their faces, but 4 eyes is better than 2, 6 is better than 4, etc., etc. if you guys want to, I know, like try and subtly indicate to them who he
Yeah.
identified.
Okay. I've added the disused storm tower as a little location on the map, so you can see the little pin
Sure.
for it.
Yeah. So Torkel will try and memorize their faces as much as possible, even if it's just like, oh, he's got like a piercing above his left eye, or his hair's unusually sandy blonde, or whatever. And then try and identify alleyways or back streets, or obviously now understanding that it's the disused storm tower. He is, and there's a potential for there to be an underground sort of run into it. He's noting that down, but he's trying to take an assessment of the area around about to look at, potential like
It's
not ambush areas, but
the door is not tucked away. It opens up onto a main street, a main thoroughfare, which has lots of traffic around it. The hardest thing you have with spotting people is just like those periods of time where you wish you could see something and a wagon comes in front of you, or a group of 5 or 6 guys carrying massive little actual raw pieces of timber on their shoulders coming through. And it's a busy street, which is either good for getting away. If you need to get away, it's a busy street, plenty of people hide behind. Or it is worrying because you're in the middle of an open street when you do come out, but you don't see anyone enter. You don't see anyone come out. You do see with an 18 on your first perception check from around 50, 60 feet away, you do see the signs of a possible lock on the door.
Okay. And it stands free by itself. It's not adjacent.
It's got 2 adjacent walls on either side of it to a point. Okay. But it's not connected to any other structure. It's a lone tower with 2 adjacent walls around it, and you gather the walls have probably been built after the tower, and are probably used to delineate whatever property line now the tower is part of or not part of.
Okay. I'll try and get the attention of Orly.
Yeah, Orly, you see Torkel waving at you. Is there anything you want to do before that, Orly? Orly?
There isn't anything specific in my mind, to be honest, because I assume from the ground they can see pretty much what I can see, other than I have a higher advantage. Is there anything I can spot with like my height advantage that they wouldn't see?
Give me a perception check, please.
Sure. It's not going well.
8. It's not going well for Orly. You gather that no. You see what you see. You see what I've described, and you see the various patrols of people working around. It's a busy yard. Like when you're having a hard time tracking, like between just the 2 people, which you haven't picked up on yet, there is around maybe 8 or 9 individuals in amongst the door within a 30-foot sphere, 40-foot sphere. And it's hard to keep track of where they are and what they're all doing, so you're kind of lost in it. But what would you like to do, Torkel?
I just want to, because Orly said to let him know when we think we're at the area, so I just want to catch his eye and basically do make put one finger up and then make a circle as in around here, have a look. But that's the only reason he needed to get in contact.
Okay. Orly, I guess now that you know the signal, this is the area. What would you like to do?
What kind of a building am I on right now?
You're probably on a 2-story, slightly lower down than the actual, not looking over the height of the storm tower. A small eatery, which seems to be closed for the day, and you can hear some prep inside, someone working beneath the roof you're standing on. But that's it. There are a few other individuals on various roofs that you've seen, which seem to be either doing their own stuff, smoking tobacco pipes, or just doing surveys of roofs on behalf of the Church of Kinos. But you've managed to slip past all of them with your passive stealth.
Okay. I don't think there's much else I can really do. I'm not really having a good day with my eyesight, so.
It's at this point, all of you hear, as the turn of what you gather to be a new hour dawning, a cacophonous of banging to your east. Explosionist bangs. A few people look up and then go back to what they were doing, not disturbed too much by it. You could all give me a perception check if you wanted.
Yeah.
Trying to find where we are on
20.
the
If you
map.
look in the kind of grey area in between the purple and in between the dark green, that's where the Everwork shipyard is. I think you can also search from a pin. Yeah, no problem, Sean, thanks. 22, Torkel. Torkel and Thoric. Hendrik and Orly are more just kind of, don't know where to focus, the sound is so cacophonous. The two of you who rolled well, you do see east, away from you, a castle. A massive castle. And you see plumes of smoke exiting from one of the slanted walls of it as a huge spherical metal barrel. This is like a mile away from you. Starts to roll back in from another bang, and you see a puff of smoke, and then another sound wave hits you as it looks like great cacophonous-sized, giant-sized cannons from the veinstone-built castle on the dock side, on the far eastern side of Breakwater, is launching a salvo.
Like an actual, it's not like a gun salute, it's an actual salvo.
It seems to be a salvo. You're not sure what for, but it seems to be launching around 4 shots. And when I say cannon barrel, I mean
like cannon. What the hell? Okay.
when I say cannon, I mean
I thought gunpowder was a thing.
not. Who knows if gunpowder is what's its propulsion mechanism is.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, and you see them arc, and arc, and arc, and they fly and fly, and then a few moments later, on the hills to the breakwaters north, on a barren hillside, which you see is vacant of trees, you see 4 impacts one after another, detonating and destroying and upturfing 100-foot square area of soil and earth, an explosion of mound and dust miles away from the cannons. Just launched into a barren hillside, and with a 22 or 20 plus checks, you see that hillside is probably used as, for background version, an artillery range. There probably once was a forest there, but it's been steadily destroyed by the cannons ranging fire. They're not firing into the bay, they are firing into a hill, a sloped hill around maybe 6 miles away from Breakwater.
Torko's just like, I don't understand.
Torko's like, any more loud noises from me today, guys?
Yeah, well, that too, yeah.
Yeah. I would say, does anyone have, if anyone has a history check, a history proficiency, you can make a history check. If you don't, you can still choose to roll if you want to.
I have history.
I too have history.
That should have been proficient in history. Yeah, 22.
22, 23.
It's fine.
27.
Hendrik and Torkel, you recognize this to be probably a test fire, is best to describe it, or a ranging salute of the northern battery of cannons built. The cannons were built by the Church of Kinos during the Third War with Teoland, and have since been relocated after the war ended to Breakwater. And the actual Veinstone Castle was built around the cannons because they are so large. If they had 27, you know that there's a northern battery, an eastern battery, and a southern battery. and these cannons are capable of sinking galleons in a single hit. They are used as a method of security for breakwater, but also so that if Teolan were ever to assault breakwater, they could easily sink their fleet, which is probably why Teolan has never made a direct assault on breakwater since the end of the Third War.
These towers are made of the vein stone.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. That's impressive. Okay.
The cannons are probably around maybe about 200 feet in diameter, and then about another 80 feet back. They're these like stubby mortars which are like angulared up and fired. If you guys want to ask me a couple questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do we know who originally built them when they were used in the front line? Like what the guy's name was or anything like that?
Yeah, you would. Let me just get it for you. Put this in D&D notes. And then make sure.
Also, I don't think Bless actually does apply to ability checks, only on strike rolls and saving throws.
Oh well, we know that now. I just thought it did. You know, it was built by Godofredo Moreno, who was a chief inventor of the Church of Kinos.
What a name. Godo.
Yeah. I could probably give you an exact date if you wanted to know the year they were built. They were built in a group of 4. They are incredibly difficult to move. You know that from your history that actually the Concorde hired a couple metallic dragons to fly them from where they were built with an Erith to the front line. They're one of the definitive weapons used that helped fight back against the mages, capable of striking many miles into Teolan's lines. And with the well over 20 check, it's debated why they were moved to Breakwater. Why not leave them on the front line? But perhaps the Golden Council ruled that it would have been better served as a naval warning and check.
Deterrent.
That's what I'm looking for. A deterrent, because of the importance of Breakwater as a trade hub.
And has there been, so obviously now there hasn't been, but like, was there ever a point where there was an attack on Breakwater and these cannon were used, or has it just been Teoland knows that these cannon are here now, therefore they will not come near Breakwater?
A few years ago, the cannons were briefly engaged a fleet of pirate ships flown by the ne'er-do-well gang of princes known as the Sea Princes. Sea Princes, which are a gang of pirates which sacked Saltwater or Saltmarsh a few decades ago, and they gave them a right kicking and killed hundreds and hundreds of them within a single salvo being launched. And then since then they were like, oh fuck, and that they actually fired like just past the range of the storm wall. So
all right.
Yeah, so you hear basically a test firing of these cannons.
And they have like a range, but there's no way that if you turned the cannon round, they could hit like another city nearby, right? No, they're not that large.
You're not sure.
Not sure.
I mean,
okay.
You're not sure because of the way the angles is. They're basically being pointed flat, like in line with the hill where they're being fired.
Yeah.
If you angle them up, I mean, when they hit those ships at sea, maybe like 8 miles, 10 nautical miles. But who's to say the true range of these cannons, these guns?
Can I roll for drop-off range, please?
All right, I think that's all the questions that Torquil has.
Okay. Anything for you, Hendrik?
Nah, I don't understand how the cannons work, and the town defense like that, a big fucking tower that shoots things, is now outside of my my purview.
Mm. Okay, excellent. I think with the go ahead.
Actually, I have a question. I
Yes.
do have a question. The towers, obviously they have cannons and shit like that. Can like,
Mhm.
I mean, are there openings in the tower that the cannons can shoot inwards towards the city?
No, they're all angled out to sea.
Okay.
There's one
That makes
angled
sense.
north, one angled east, and one angled south. None pointed directly west towards the city.
I didn't know if they had like window openings or whatever the hell they call
They slightly
battlement, I
move.
guess.
They're
Okay.
able to slightly rotate on an axis of left and right, but it takes a lot of systems, a lot of we gather probably internal engineering to make that happen. It's a slow process.
Okay.
Okay. I think with the booming cacophony of the noise of the cannons and the discovery of the door, we should probably end the session there.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So it's about what time is it now? It's about yes, it's 1 o'clock is when the cannons went off, and yeah, the northern battery fired into a hill a couple miles north of Breakwater.
The wee guy out for like an evening show and fucking 4 cannonballs and then start hitting the ground there. Ah, Jesus!
Yeah, with your really good history checks, the payload is probably about the size of like an elephant, like an actual elephant. That's probably the size of the canister fired.
Jesus Christ. Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Old cannonballs used to be made of stone.
Mm-hmm.
Are these made of veinstone?
Who knows?
Okay. That's a fucking hefty chunk of veinstone. That's gonna shut down a magical army. You don't have to hit the target. You just have to hit kind of sort of near them to shut them down.
They were
Yeah.
used against the
Or
entire
if the
Empire army of mages, so who knows if they fired Veinstone.